So before we go to analytics or analysis, we'll distribute this webinar entirely into two different parts. The first part will make you understand about the analysis, and then it moves you to next step about the analytics, and then later make you understand about how you can make your informed decisions. Before we dive into analytics, there's a very common difference between analysis and analytics. To understand the two differences, it is very important to make it very clear. While data analysis is related to understand the past data, which is the foundation of making predictions. Anything happened in your past or you are cultivating information from past information is all related to data analysis. Whereas if you build analysis on data analysis by using understanding to make smart guesses or decisions about the future, it comes into the part of analytics. With I'll make it very simple to understand in terms of example. You all use fitness trackers. You check your fitness app to see how many steps you walked last week. This is a part of analysis. Whereas when the app uses your data to suggest your daily goal steps for the next week, it's using analytics. Basically, it's your own data. The app has identified your patterns, your informations, and then it predicts you about the future. In both the cases, analysis looks in the past while analytics uses the past data to plan for the future. It's very simple. Whatever you have in your bucket about all the inputs, when you study about all those informations, it's related to analyzing of the data. Where if you use those data to predict the future or the patterns, it's all related to analytics. They work together. First, understand what happened, that's analysis, and then uses the knowledge to make it better decision, that's analytics. While making it very clear how it in strategies also. So in the world, every click, purchase, or action is tracked. I mean, you guys all are aware of this. The ability to turn this vast amount of data into meaningful insights, it's more important than ever before. Data analytics helps businesses to answer the critical questions. I mean, this also a part of basic ideas in your people. What products do your customer prefers? Or you can say, what marketing strategy leads to give you a highest ROI? In essence, to analytics, these all answers comes when you start establishing your interest to understand your existing data, learn it, understand, and then predict. Before I make it more confusing to anyone, just take a very simple example of Netflix. Think they use data analytics to recommend shows based on you watched before. I mean, they decide your genre. You have three friends, three of them have different Netflix account, but it recommends you all in a different form. What is the reason behind of recommending this at high level? To just increase the engagement. The better understanding your performance, the more likely to engage you with their platform. That's the basic agenda of any business, to make you engage with us in such a way that you keep investing your time with us. And that can only possible when you understand about your customer or somebody's data while studying them. That's called analysis, and then predicting about what the person really wanted by using the analytical tool. That's part of analytics. So that's about it on a very first level, just to understand whether it's got understand or not. So here, the first exercise gives an idea. On the first question we have is very simple. An online store checks what product sold most last month. This comes under analytics or analysis. It's using the old data of information and then giving idea about what to do next. Moving to the next part, that's the same store predicts which products will sell well next month and run ads on them. That's clearly part of analytics. Why? Because they are planning for future on the existing data, what needs to be happen later on. That's something really very fascinating and simple happens to our daily life as well, because data is everywhere. Wherever the data exists, the analysis and analytics runs together. It just making it more fascinating when we use the analytical tool in terms of data analyst, but every single person in daily life working as an analyst himself, because you know about your patterns, you know about your habits, and your habits, your patterns and routines gives you a lot of amount of immense data, and then you decide what next course of action you need to take in on. Okay, with this, let's start to the exact preparation we have for this webinar. how one can take an informed decision. Make a decision really makes a lot of differences in terms of your business or you're planning for anything XYZ. So first thing which we will understand about the predictive analytics and its application. The second will be prescriptive analytics and its application. We'll also understand a small case how Amazon improvised its delivery at a very pace level by using analytics, understanding averages, mean, mode, and medians, sampling and forecasting, correlation versus causations, a little bit of cybersecurity in data analytics, and we'll have an open let's talk option where somebody can put up the questions. So, moving to the next first topic of this webinar is the first thing which we will understand today is predictive analytics. Now, what is predictive analytics? That's a very basic level of understanding you can have. Why so? Because predictive analytics is about forecasting the future based on historical data. It's used everything from stock market predicting about the trends with the sales is forecasting about their future data. It's all related to there itself. For instance, imagine a retailer looking for past sale data during holiday seasons. Predictive models can help him to forecast how many inventory you will need for this year. Let's say I'm a seller who used to sell ethnic clothes because Diwali is coming. Last year I sold somewhere about 10 or 15 packs. This year I can plan according to my inventory request, as per my customer request, my feedbacks, all required. These are all your old data which you will analyze and then you plan your future predictions, which will help you to analyze your plannings. Also, predictive analytics is a type of data analysis that helps users to use their historical data to predict future outcomes. I mean, this is important because you have your archives ready to look about your future instances, what is going to happen. In this way, bank uses predictive analytics to predict which customers are likely to default on their loans because they know how much repayments are you have done in past, and this also impacts your database. The retailer use predictive analytics to forecast sales. I mean, they know when the holidays are coming, the specific sale for a product can increase or decrease. Making a simple example, and the sale of an ice cream can increase in the month of summers, while it will get reduced in the month of winters. This is also a predictive analysis where you predict things because of your old understandings and knowledge. The same way, healthcare also provide to use predictive analytics, and they help to reduce the risk because they know if specific disease you have or any specific trend patterns you have in your health issues that can also help them to predict what problems you can face in future to reduce that. So that's all about basic about predictive analytics. I mean, you have on slide some basic ideas where it can be used. You can view on that as well. So this is about predictive analytics. I mean, if we just review predictive analytics, it's a powerful tool. It helps to make decisions and gain competitive advantages. Why? Because you'll be ahead what is going to happen in future with the data which you have in past to understand. So next we will be understanding about, yeah, that's prescriptive analytics. It's similar to, means you can say predictive, but it's quite different in different ways. On the other hand, goes one step further. It doesn't just predict what will happen, it also actions to optimize the outcomes. I mean, the first case you only predict this is going to happen, this can happen. Here in this case it also gives you an outcome what can happen and how it can be controlled in better form. It's a type of data analysis that suggests optimal actions based on predictions or constraints. It goes beyond to simplify forecasting future outcomes, or you can say provide actionable recommendations to you. For example, a logistic company, let's take a simple example. A logistic company may use predictive analytics to determine most efficient delivery routes to maximize their the delivery time and reduce their fuel cost. You know, this can only be possible when you have a data set which gives you an idea about the entire information. Along with that information, it also makes you feel that yeah, it really works in a very advanced form that allows you to make it very clear. Okay, the next thing we have about this is making understand about where it really help you to use. I mean, where you can use prescriptive analytics, like we have about predictive analytics, can be used in medical forms, can be used in your marketing campaigns, or can be used on other maps. Here we can see personalized marketing campaigns are the most lethal options which can be used for prescriptive analytics, because there'll be a retailer can use prescriptive analytics in such a way that it can use to find each customer for their own purchase history and preferences. Take a simple example. Out of 15 people using Flipkart, you all get a different recommendations for Flipkarts. From where this actually comes out? It's because of your history that you have given to the application. Uh, The application knows it very well. Whenever you come to a window, the first thing which you prefer is a watch section, or someone comes and look out for. Let's talk about InfosecTrain also. Whenever a customer lands on an InfosecTrain, we have the InfosecTrain has a lot of amount of courses on their website. We have a high traffic on some specific things. There we leverage our profitability. There we leverage our presence of customers in such a way that they can come and land up to that particular part. And later on, the next part is inventory optimization, but because that's how you shift the information or the product or the services from yourself to the customers. So in this way, you can forecast the production constraints also. What are the challenges they are facing actually to have those things in their learnings, and route optimizations. You all have heard about the Google Maps. Google Maps also use analytics in a very great form, and this is one of this also. It also predicts a lot of things for you. In the same way, a delivery company can use prescriptive analytics to maximize their transportation costs also. So making a very simple form, predictive analytics is related to future outcomes. Like you forecast future in terms of data what you have. Just you give a forecasting to that this is going to happen. Let's say you know in every month of October there is a rainfall happens. Let's say in Delhi, you say there are high chances of having rainfall in Delhi, irrespective of going to weather forecast from any IMF team. That's your predictive analytics. But where if prescriptive analytics enters there, it also gives you an edge to optimize that outcomes. If that outcome is profitable, it's good. They can also give an option that you can have an umbrella as well. You can have other options as well at the same time. If you keep that with you, it will give you an idea of saving yourself from getting wet in the rain. So that's about the prescriptive analytics. I mean, also if you understand how Amazon has make it very great in terms of their delivery process, is Amazon uses predictive analytics to anticipate customers' demand, allowing to warehouse products where they're likely to order, and they can then combine prescriptive analytics and optimize the delivery routes for those products, ensuring faster and most effective deliveries. And also that's how they do predictive analytics also. When they get to know if a customer is coming to buy shoes, they recommend you an option of shocks as well. When you're coming to buy a mobile phone, they also recommend you an options of chargers and cables and other options. That's all part of predictive analytics. They predict the customer can take these options as well. Now, these are only fundamentally, you can say, options which can use more over predicting rather than being data oriented. So these are two basic skills which you can use and you level predicting and prescriptive those information in terms of data analytics. Next, we have the most, you can say, the old and primitive ways of understanding data and implementing them. So it's understanding averages. I mean, averages plays a very great role in our daily life. We have been learning about averages from very long time. Everyone has done that as well in the past as well as today as well. But what makes difference to averages is averages has multiple type of averages. You can see on my screen out there, they are mean, they are median, they are mode. All the averages have their different story. They have their different values of making us learn about what really it's saying. When averaging data, we are not here about averages. It is about analyzing also things. So to make it more clear, mean is sum of all the values divided by number of values. It gives sensitive outliers to you. Median is the middle value of data set. You have a data set, it's a middle value of the entire data. Whereas the mode is the most frequently occurring values. That's something which we have learned in school years also. But how does it really work? I mean, how it makes differences on our data which we have in our daily life. Let's take a simple example of a data which we will make it feel understand about this. So this is a data which we have taken feedback from customers, from customer A to customer J. All of them have given different ratings to us. And let's start from the calculation part first of all. The first calculation we have of the mean. We did the mean in a very simple way. Like we add all the numbers together and then divide by total number of outcomes. We have 10 outcomes here and we divide by all the sum. We got the mean value that is 3.5. That's what we usually do in our daily life. That okay, the average rating for this, you can say an event is 3.4. But do you really think that's the most important value to understand this data? Let's move to the next part. That's median. Median value when the data is sorted, that is 3.5. When we calculate the median, it comes 3.5. Where the mode in this entire data, what we have learned earlier, mode is the outcome of the maximum of a single digit that's coming into the data. That is 5. 5 came more than 3 times. So 5 is appears more times. It's the mode of data. Now that's the calculation is done by an analyst. But as a viewer or as a learner, as an interpreter, when you look the data, what will be your advantage to take the decision? Well, the mean averages the customer satisfactions, that is 3.4 out of 5, which means 3.4 customers out of 5, the average rating they feel they're satisfied. With a median of a customers rated, the restaurant is about 3.5 or higher, while the other rated lower. Now, how it reads, and how you will read it? Well, the mean is the average. You just did simple averaging, you got 3.4. Well, the median defines that half of the customers are below 3.5 and late rest of them are above 3.5. We don't know how many of them are, but yes, we know the middle line is 3.5. Now, coming to the most common rating is 5. I mean, the most common rating a person has received in this entire data set is 5, which is now contradictory. Why so? If 5 is something which is the most common rating, which means highly rated common ratings to the people, which came more than 1, 2, 3 times, which means out of 10, 3 members are 100% satisfied. Despite of this, the person is landing on 3.4 in an average data. So what is causing this difference? So this term will do an insight of this data now. Now, how the insights of this data? Let's read the first line of insight. We have it here. The mean might skewed by extreme rating of 1 to 5. Now, what is skewing? Skewing basically in data analytics, we say it's an uneven distribution of data across the different portion. I mean, if you see the entire data, it's lying between 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, and then once we reach to H and I and J, we realize it start giving a very absurd ratings to us, that is 3, 4, and 1, which is skewed data, because this will shift the positivity to negativity, or could be negativity to positivity. Now, if you go to next step to understand this, the median and the mode provide a better understanding for the typical customer satisfaction level. At this point of time, the higher mode suggested that the customer were satisfied for the restaurant. But now the concern is still same. What if this one rating has not been given to the customer 1 out of 5? If this wouldn't have been given to us, the entire data will not be got skewed. For this, let me give you a very simple example to all of you with a exercise as well. Let me share you something else on the screen. Okay, so the screen is visible to all of you. Let me delete this part. This is the same data we had there. And this at this position, we had 1 out here. So all of you, we all know that this is the tool which you can use daily life to understand about mean, mode, and medians and averages, which on a very basic way you can do. For mean, you can use just a formula called averages. You just select averages and select the entire quantity and put enter. You got the average value done. Well, for the median, you need median, just put equal, and we have inbuilt formula for the median. You just put the selective data and you got your median done. For the mode as well, we have selective formula for the mode here as well. We just select the data and mode is done out here. So what we have analyzed, let's say I'm a learner who used to give average rating to my manager. Every month I used to send a report to my manager saying to me that, okay, we got the customer rating this week and the average is 3.4. There's another student who came and said to the manager that, "Oh, this is 3.4, but we prefer to median 3.5. Why? Because 3.4 got skewed by this rating, which really need not to be there, but it is there. It has affected the average of entire data, but this may be correct or may not be. We need to investigate that, and then we need to make an average of that." Okay, if your manager is not aware about this, or if somebody hired to you is not aware about this information, you just hidden this information and you said, okay, fine enough, that's the data we got and we give you an average data. This could lead to a very great difference on a vast data which you are actually calculating. So it is always important when you are averaging a data to publish somewhere, use all 3 modes of averaging: mean, mode, and median, and illustrate your information the same way. So imagine if we remove this information from here, just look how much difference will make on the entire data. Just by removing this information, we realize that the mean has shifted to 3.7 and the median shifted to 4 and mode is still 5. But because mode is what? Mode is something which is came in the entire rating more than one times. That is 5. A median is the mid value. Now we can see half of the population of this customer rating is ahead 4. So that's a good idea. That's a very good information we have at this point of time. But while if you see, there's another information is called 2. If we remove these two part as well, it start improvising the information. So the basic ideology behind averaging is very simple. Is whenever you publish a data to anyone or to any place, it is highly important to understand one part, that you do averaging on all three parameters and then define its interpretations, whether it's working or not. And if any data coming and skewing you and giving you an out of the box information, it is very important to just analyze that data should be eliminated or investigated well enough so that it should not make a difference to entire data. Here we only have 10 outcomes. Imagine if we had 1000 outcomes, it's going to give you a great impact on your skills. In the same way, if you imagine this data would be of working hours, imagine somebody is working for only 1 hour, somebody is working for 4 hours, but the entire team is working for 3.4 hours. That's an average. You think, okay, we need an average of 3 hours. Our team is working 3.4 hours. No, that's not fine. You need to go and find your team to identify how many of them are doing 5 hours. Okay, out of 10, 3 of them are doing 5 hours, which means these are the lead takers, and who are those who are not lead taking up and making an average impact. That's how understanding of averages actually works out. You can understand in more in depth while using the same exercise. If you want to take a snapshot, you can take it ahead. Moving to the next part we have is sampling and forecasting. Okay, sampling is a very common word you all have heard about in your daily life. That's why I kept a very simple definitions out there for sampling and forecasting. Sampling is like taking a taste of a cake and understanding the whole. I mean, I don't like personally cake, but yeah, it's an example which I've taken for my learners. That's good. So sampling is you have a bigger portion. You need to take a small portion out. You need to investigate all those things which you really want in entire data, and then you wanted to deliver the information. In analytics, what we do, we just take out all the informations and then we do sampling on a very specific data, and whatever outcome comes out and we deliver to everyone. Also make it very simple. Only a single drop of human blood can give you a great result of all entire body checkup. That's the power of sampling if it is done at a precise level in data analytics also. What is forecasting here? I mean, forecasting is like predicting future. It's relatively close to its name. It's forecasting. We all do forecasting in so many things. We have uncles and aunties at home who do forecasting, who will become doctor and who will become engineer. We have our friends who do forecasting, who will go on vacations and who will not go on vacation. That's something different, but yeah, it's relative to that only. Here also we forecast based on our historical data what is going to come and what could be the future outcome. Also, entire analytics, these two part are the powerful tools for analytics, but they are very you can say fragile in terms of handling. If you're not handling well enough, it can give you very absurd data. It can lead to a very improper information which can make you a lot of issues to understand and to predict. While we move ahead for the forecasting and sampling, just making it more simple to all of you, we'll understand in a very simple way both of them, sampling and forecasting. Sampling is essential in data analytics because it's often impractical to collect data from every individual in populations. I mean, it's very true. If you have a team of 10,000 people, you cannot take feedback from 10,000 people. And even if you take feedback from 10,000 people, it will be very difficult to analyze it. So how we can do that when we have to take predictive information of entire big team? How we can do that? So let's say you are conducting a customer satisfactory survey and it is impossible to survey all the customers. It's very simple. It is not possible. So select that represents the large group of people. I mean, few people you have to select. But here the catch, if you not select the right people in the right way, it will make differences. So what you have to do? You have to differentiate. You have to select people from all the departments. You have to select people who hardly give feedbacks to you. They are the people who usually don't contribute themselves in in companies engagements and all. So you need to find different departments, different reasons, different you can say genders, and all the communities you have in your company or in your work process, in your school, colleges, wherever you are using this data. You need to pick every individual from some different categories, and then you club all of them together, send them the request, and ask the feedback to be or survey which we're about to do that. Take the information from them. Once you have information, you have a very diverse information, but because you know if somebody from marketing is giving this feedback, maybe others will also have similar to that, not opposite to that. Let's say talk a simple example of sales, marketing, and operations. Sales works for 9 hours, marketing works for 6 hours, and operations works for 5 hours. And if we give a feedback to only marketing people that whether you are happy with your working hours, they'll say yes, I am, because you're working for 5 hours only. But if the same feedback sends to sales team, are you happy working for 9 hours? They say no, we need to work for 8 hours, it's too much. So entire feedback will be get impacted. So what we do, we pick two from sales, two from operations, and two from marketings, and we'll send them feedbacks to just give us to know how collectively feedbacks are coming. Also, it leads to an implementations also. The specific department which was supposed to be get more valued is not now getting valued. So it distributes the entire information in a very balanced way. And that's how it's supposed to be done in all the information sharing or sampling or any implementation. Let's say an HR come and said to you all that, okay, Diwali is coming, everyone has to bring sweets to office. That's fine. But this, before implementing anything, you must go for sampling as well. The HR has already did the sampling. She or already did the analytics. He talked to all the top managements of those departments or the bottom managements of those departments, and he had an information that people are very comfortable. Out of 100, she found that 30 people can bring those informations to her. She's okay with that. She just move ahead with that. That's the important. Before implementing anything, sampling is very important. You can do sampling on different categories and different levels to just know the feedback, it's going to work or not for you. Why it is important? It's very simple. It is very impractical. I mean, too impossible collect big data. So when you have a large amount of data, not gather all the informations, take small people from different segments and then do the same experiment on them, and then you get the result from them. Now moving to the forecasting, it's a technique. Basically, I'll not say it's a process, it's technique used to predict the future trends based on the past current data. It's called forecasting. It's very simple in language. Imagine let's take being myself as a restaurant owner. By analyzing historical data on daily sales, I can predict or I can forecast that, okay, every time on weekends I realize there's a high sale of cupcakes in my restaurant. Why is so? That can only done by analytics. I realized that on weekends I'm having family dinners, and family dinners we're having more kids. But the kids are coming on family dinners. There's a high requirements of cakes and pastries out there. At the dessert, in respect of other days, we have a high requirements of some other consumable drinks. So this gives me as an owner an idea where if I understands my data very well to forecast the weekends are about to come, my stocks for pastries and cake should be up to the mark. Something similar happened maybe in the sales as well, maybe in operations or maybe any other departments across the globe which you're working. Maybe you're in cybersecurity as well. Maybe your audit team is about to come. Maybe your red team is about to come. You know about their basic needs and requirement based on the past data. So if you forecast all those informations, all those data with yourself, it can help you to predict more efficient information, which can help you to take a great decision that gonna help you in a very right way. So, I mean, if you take an example of forecasting, you can take retail store examples also. They also do forecastings. You all see about, let's say if you're running from India on Independence Day or any other nations, you realize any event about to come, it gives forecast to all the peoples to do related to that. You will see freedom sale, you will see flags all over there. If Diwali is about to come, you have seen big billion day sales out there. What is all causing this? Because there is a reason behind that. There's a shift from one generation to other generations. There's a shift from one type of customer to other type of customers. So these all things is very important to understand, to analyze. Nowadays you hardly find somebody using earphones with wired earphones. Out of box we see people are using earbuds only. Now you start as electronic store where you are adamant to sell only wired earphones. This is not related to your business productivity, it will gonna hamper in such a way which may not give you more productivity. So you forecasted that what's the need of the people, what's they really want, and it gives an idea to understand. So inaccurate forecasting can also lead overstaffing or understanding you to not have all those information with you. It's highly important when you're forecasting anything, you should be very natural and you should be very clear about things which you really wanted in terms of your controlled domain. Also, its limitation, as I mentioned, its limitations are very high because take a simple example. Sampling, we do sampling in many ways in many world across the globes. Let's take a sampling of blood sample. You have collected a sample, but if you have not preserved the sample at a right temperature in a right way, it will lead to a wrong result. In the same way for data as well, if you're not gathered the information from the right people, if you're not selected the right people for your sampling, if you're not picked the right information, it will lead to give you a wrong information. But also it doesn't contradict that sampling will not give you right information. It will for sure give you right information, but if it has been done with care at ease. Same come with forecasting as well. While forecasting, be dependent on your previous experience is not something which you have read or listened, but because it is possibly not factually corrected or delivered to you by someone unsecured sources. So you must first go gather the information from the right sources, learn from them, understand a lot about them, do research, and then start doing forecasting from them. Okay, this is something can happen because I have read this or I have analyzed my information in a right way. That's about forecasting in analytics on a very basic personal base. The next part we have after forecasting is correlation and causation. That's one of my favorite topic, I must say. Why so? Because correlation and causations are in our daily life. When you see this, you will find it everywhere. Let's because when I start this, one of the most pitfalls in data interpretation is confusing correlation with causation. I've written the line on the screen as well for you. Why? Because you must read it line multiple times because this will happen with you when we go ahead to understand more about this. Just because two things are correlated doesn't mean one cause other. If they are, it's not about twins, it's about more related to information which are relatively comparable to each other. So we'll understand more about in depth. And that's how we'll understand about entire correlation and causation. Before you go to that image, let's start from the left. What is correlation? It very simple definition is there. You can read if you want, but let me make you understand about this in a very simple way. I mean, one of the most understanding thing about this is two things means when two things at the same time changes together, but it does not mean that one thing cause other thing changes is called correlation. Again, it's very simple. Imagine you observe that your mobile phone got switched off and at the same time you wanted to call someone. It is correlated to you because you cannot call anyone now, it's already shut down. While making it more understanding to you, correlation also gives an idea to understand why this information cannot be compared to each other's, taking ahead to understand why it is important to us. Now understand about causation. Causation itself it defines in a very simple language what it word means. Causation means that one thing that directly cause another things to happen. Simple example, if one event happens and then it makes other event also to happen, it's called causation. While in correlation, what we have understand, one thing happened at a time can change other as well. That means two things happen at the same time or change together. Anything which is related to each other. With this, now you can understand the images we have. Then the images we have also used on the bottom by using a simple line. Correlation means things are related to happen together, where causation means one thing happens, cause another happen. So it's more about collaboration in terms of correlation, where causation is a step-by-step process. One has to happen, then next will happen. Okay, so let's make a fun understanding for this. Very simple example. You all have noticed many times. I mean, I have this obsession that whenever I wear my lucky shoes, my favorite team wins. Okay, so I'm a big fan of Argentina. Whenever I wear purple t-shirt or turquoise t-shirt, Argentina wins. If I have habit of wearing my favorite t-shirt and my team wins, what it comes out? Is it a correlation or causation? This is correlation between wearing lucky shoes or lucky t-shirt and your team winning. But it doesn't mean that your t-shirt or my t-shirt or shoes. That's great, Ian. Thank you. Correlation. It's very nice. It might just give a coincidence. So you need to understand correlation is very close to coincidence. You cannot say every time I do this and this happens. It lead to superstitions in terms of your data and your predictions as well. Because while we working in analytics, the word predictions comes a lot of many times. So prediction doesn't mean that you just do random prediction. It must have a supportive documents or data to give what insights you are actually given. So in some place, let's say my example. If I'm wearing raincoats on rainy days, there is a correlation between this wearing raincoat and rain. But again, wearing raincoat does not cause rain happens. Okay, so it does not mean that it causes rain happen, yes, but it's very correlative that whenever rain will happen, I may use my raincoat. In daily life example, if you say, if I come to office, I'll do my punch in with my biometric. That's correlated. That has to be happen. But that doesn't mean that if I will not come to office, my attendance or my salary will get deducted. That's not related. I may apply my leaves in backends to get my salaries in my hand, but that's not correlated. Simple example. If I punch in every day, I'm getting my attendance and get my salaries on time. But if one day I haven't punched, I may apply my leaves in backends and get my salaries 100%. So this is clear. The punching every day in office will not define your entire salary, which is not related to each other, but it may can cause differences. If you water a plant every day, let's take another example from you all. If I have a plant in my office, I water the plant every day, and watering my plant is growing. Watering the plant cause helps to grow. I mean, the effect is growing, but the reason behind the effect, the cause is watering the plant, which means water is a part of causing this effect. So we can say that watering plant causes it to grow. Nice. The next example also will understand with this. We usually do test. I mean, we have a test for understanding our learnings and all. If you study for a test in exam, let's say, and you usually do better on the test. So do you think studying leads to give you good grades, or it just because you are so lucky to get good marks? The reason behind of the effects is cause or an input which is really needed to make that thing happen. That's why. Now, why it is important to all of us in daily lives and understanding this? Why? Because understanding different between correlation and causation help us to make better decisions. I mean, everything related to analytics is about decisions. If your decision goes wrong, it's going to give a great impact. So that's why it is very important to make us better decisions. Just because two things happen together, that is a part of correlation, doesn't mean that one making other happen. We need to understand, let's say there is a team of three people. Every time when I come, the performance of team get increased. That doesn't mean that because of me it is happening. I need to go deep down to understand the cause behind that. On the first instance, I can say whenever I come, things goes great. That's correlation. You're correlating the informations. Maybe that can happen, maybe that cannot happen. But if you look out there in the deeper part, if you understand the analytics by using those averages, using those predictive and prescriptive analytics, you will find the real cause behind the upliftment of the sales or anything which is happening beyond your control to analyze. Okay, we need to understand this in such a way because we are moving step by step ahead. So whatever we have learned in these slides earlier will going to help you in the next stage. So correlation and causation, definitely averaging is going to help you a lot. Apart from averaging, yes, you can use predictive and prescriptive analysis as well. With this, we'll move to the next slide we have, and that's very simple. So this gives a very fun exercise to all of you can read and understand that when correlation with causation can happen and when causation with correlation can happen or without it. So in the first case, let's say it's me. I asked my friend, hey, let's go to gym. My friend replied, why not? You can go. So we can get good shape. So that's understanding. It's very relative that whenever we go to gym, that's about getting in shape. So both of them are understanding about the cause which will come from the effect they will do, that is gym. The same with correlation. You can go, but the second reply is about the food. Somebody is more concerned because they get good food. This is not causation, this is correlation directly. And then we are understanding the next part, and that is cybersecurity and data analytics. Fine. You all know about cybersecurity is the upcoming generational learning to everybody. Why? Because data is everywhere. Data are in the good hands, data is in the bad hands also. Why the analytical data are important in cybersecurity to be handled? But because analytical data are the readable data, are the insights, are the findings which we have found from the raw data. And if we have found something from raw data, it is very important to understand that the information which we have is very critical. So how we can understand this in terms of cybersecurity? We all know about cybersecurity, how really it works. Cybersecurity is practice of protecting computers, information, servers, networks, data, unauthorized access, damage controls, putting security systems and everything and all. And in terms of data analytics, how it is important. The first thing is in data privacy. Why? Because you need to keep all the informations, personal informations collected and gathered in a stored, shared way. It could not be accessible to everyone. Why? Because a specific team should access the data who are working for analytical part. Also, access control. Yes, the access should only be with the people who are the stakeholders of the data, who are working on the data, who really wanted to learn from the data, or they want to work on data to give insights. Now again, integrity. Why the term integrity is really important in analytics? Why? Because when you are giving predictions from the raw data, it should not be get changed in any sense based on your input or your internal thoughts. This can happen or that can happen. It should not be like that. It should be controlled way and well managed. When I talk about secure data and transfers, it is very much important in analytics also. You should share your file encrypted while you're sharing the reports to anyone. If you're sharing your file outside the organization, that has to be get shared with proper sealed, protected information networks and all. Also, now the next is monitoring and incident response. It is also very important. Why I've kept this part? Because keeping an eye on data is very important. Any manipulation to data, we have seen how easily just one number can shift the entire data. Imagine you have 10,000 of data, somebody just went there and changed the digit 2 to 3. It will give you a great difference on your mean, your mode, your correlations, and your causations. So it is very important while you are working on analytical data that has not to be get edited by each and every person, or should have a very immediate response to that information. If you're publishing a data real-time basis from analytical informations, make it stop immediately by saying, or any response message you can share to everyone that okay, this information is down as of now, we have been compromised on anything. You can give ideas to people to not use such informations for now. And that's how we can end up understanding about this. But if I give a simple example to all of you about the analytics in our daily life is very simple. Let's say you understand about what is happening in our daily life, you understand about what is happening in our office life, or you understand about what is happening with our digital data. It's all connected in such a way that you need to understand how it predicting your information, so that whenever you give an input to any platforms or any information servers, you should be very very crucial about that. The way you use your chat gpts, the way you use your informations on your shopping applications, the way you use your search engines, you should be very very sure, so that they should not start controlling your thoughts and imaginations regarding your uh, point of views that you really wanted to have, because that they decide your informations.